So as I said, we'll begin with the templates because that's where all our templates are found. So again, settings icon, click on templates. And in here, you'll notice in here that there's a new section, clinic notes. So it's just, there's agreements, forms, and then the clinic note templates. Very similar to all the other ones where you're just going to click add new. There are no templates to select from. We will have some pre-populated templates that you can choose. So you can just start with a blank. And again, I'm not going to go through the whole form builder. It's very similar to the form builder, but we will look at some of the things. We've changed some of the badging. It used to say locked. Now there's a tooltip as well to explain what this means. It just means that the clinic node is in use. And so if you want to update this template, you'd have to duplicate it, similar to what you would do with the clinic forms templates. So I'll just take a look at, I left this one here. I duplicated this one to just show you some of the changes that have been made within here. So these panels can be moved around. But when you're adding sections here, now you have a choice. So these are the custom sections that you can do, custom section or text area, again, similar to what the custom forms are, but you have also these Notaro widgets. So if you want the snapshot part of your note, you can do that, or clinic forms, or the SOAP note and assessment, which is already part of this. So for example, this widget is already part of it. And I also want the assessment that comes along with that SOAP note section. If I don't, I can just uncheck that as an example. So you can build out just as you want it, and you can, there's a custom section here. You can name it whatever you want. There's a preview. So if I popped up in the preview as an example, then this is a really important difference between forms and note templates. And this one, it really is just a preview to give you an idea of where all the questions land. It's not functional. So yes, you can check on some of them, but it's not going to be, you won't have the similar experience as you did with the clinical forms, but it does show you the sections and where they land. And so if you just do the SOAP note section, it's just basically a placeholder to show you the order and how the form is being built out. Okay, so a bit different. So it's not exactly the same, but in terms of building it, still have the same tools, same type of questions. Okay, and there'll be a video here on how this form builder works. So once you build out your template, so I'll just go back to the template listing page. And again, so once you build out your templates, you can come at the clinic level. So again, I'll click on my initials in the top right corner here. And I can, if at the clinic level, if I want to, I could set a default clinic note. So I had three, I know you can't see my drop down, but there are three templates I can choose from, and I can default a clinic note at a template level. If I go into my practitioner view, so I'll switch over to the practitioner view. And the practitioner can also choose what they want to use as a default. So again, we both checked initial appointment. I can do the Notaro clinical note template, which comes with the software, and I can default it to that. So I'll just, I'll leave it where it was, and I'll go back to the admin section. So once you've set your templates, you can set your defaults, and then we'll go to the calendar and we'll take a look at what this looks like from the calendar, because calendar has also had a small update in terms of the appointments themselves. So I have two appointments and they're just slightly different. So Keith Jones, for example, so I click on this, you'll see now add default. The button just is the default. So whatever you've set your default to, it's going to add that as a your clinic note. You also have the drop down, and the drop down is also slightly changed. It contains the duplicate selection that you always had, but it's in this drop down button. Or you can change the note template that you want. So I have my default set to this initial. If I wanted to add it in Notaro, I can select Notaro, and it will select that one. And now a draft clinical note has been used with that template. So that's one change to that button. If I come to Sally, I don't know if I set this up yet. Sally also has a default set as well. The only difference is Sally doesn't have any previous notes, so she doesn't get the duplicate function. So that's one change, on the big change. The other is if I add a note. So for example, if I click add default and I go to this clinical note and I realize I didn't want that, I made a wrong selection, I didn't want to use this template, you can always swap it out. Okay, so here's a template that I've selected and I realize this is not what I want for my template. So I can just come here and I can change the note template. If you start putting information in here on this template, what's going to happen, any data that you transfer, it's not going to transfer over because the form is different. So one template is different from the other. So I can change my note template, and it's the same thing. So we give you a heads up to say that we're not carrying that data over if you start it, and then you just select here, and I can swap out that template that I selected, and it's going to swap out that template for me. So you have that ability to swap out templates. It looks like it's the same template is because it was the one that we had already selected. And so you can swap that out. So if you do make a mistake, you can swap out that template. We're going to come back to the notes. We'll take a closer look at how this all functions, but I just want to go back to this listing page. And I actually want to go to, I want to go to Keith because he has just a bit more data, and I'll just go to that clinical listing page of his. So the listing page has changed, and so you can see the finalized note. We expose whether the note is shared within the portal, who has access to the note, if the follow-up has been sent, if there's any invoices associated to this appointment. So it has to be an invoice. So if I create an invoice outside of this appointment, it won't show up here because this is associated to this appointment. And so if there is an appointment associated, sorry, there's a check mark in there as well. So those are some of the changes that we made to this page. You can see from this page, there's the add default note. So again, you would need to know what your default is set at. And then again, we have the drop down of, you can switch out notes. So if you're creating a note new from the listing page and not from the appointment, you can also select. So the workflow is the same. So you can select whatever note that you want from the listing page. Let's go into a draft note and take a look at some of the updates that we made to the draft note. So this is a follow-up note. And again, this is the standard note that we have. I'm going to switch it over because it's not the template that I want to use. So I'm going to change the note template, and I want to change it over to actually the initial appointment. So I'll change that over. And so this is the template that I created. And keep in mind, it's not by any means a complete initial intake, but you'll get the idea. So same type of selection. So you have drop down. So this is someone you're interviewing. So for example, the location, and you might want to just, where the pain is. Again, I just put location, but you can obviously put in more descriptors as you want. You can put in text if you want. It's up to you. But this is just for a quick demo, so you can see that these are just check boxes, or you can put questions. When did it happen in terms of the onset? You can also use radio buttons if you want. That's also up to you. Chronology, same thing. These are just check boxes, or when does the event occur? You can use the drop down as a date question. You can put pain questions in here. What is your current pain level? What is the pain throughout the day? And so again, whatever type of form you want to create, whether it's text, whether it's short answer, long answer, drop down, you can create the form that you need. And then you can also include the widgets, the Notero widgets, what I was talking about. And so in this case, they've included the SOAP note widget and the assessment. So for example, I can start an assessment. And so this has changed as well. So this has been moved to a slide out. So if I click start assessment, and I can add an area. So we can start with neck. And so this is now in a slide out. And so you can now see what you're doing a bit easier. And we've removed some of the styling of the buttons, and we've converted them back into the standard checkbox. And again, the select all is still there. So all this functions very similar. You can add more areas if you want. Again, exactly the way you did it. And it will function much the same way, with the difference being that it's now on a slide out. And so as you're adding it, you can see that it's been added to the note as well. There's some styling updates as well into the note. So once the assessment section has been added, you can edit, or if there's a view past assessments, very similar to the way we had it, but it's just exposed now in the objective section on the note. So you don't have to go sliding all the way to the bottom where it used to be and dig for it. So it's in the SOAP note section more intuitively. The other big change is the tag itself. So the multi-tag function has changed, and we also moved that to a slide out. You can still hold the shift key, or you can toggle this on for a multi-tag view. Same thing, you can select your diagram. So if I want to switch over to the posterior body, I can do that. I can switch over to multi-tag or I can, as I said, hold the shift mode and multi-tag. I'll just leave that switch on, and very similar, I can just start clicking the buttons. And then after I'm done clicking the buttons, I can just, you get this little prompt to say add 3 tags. And instead of having a window come over top, it's all in a slide out now. And this has been updated as well. You'll see some of the changes that we've made to this section here. So the suggested locations, so the position of this is now been renamed to position. So it's right infraspinatus in this case. I can put any location I want, and it's going to remember the location. I can just use the clear button or backspace over it. I can select any of my top 5 areas. It's going to remember the areas that you primarily select for this location. I'll just leave it at right infraspinatus. One of the other changes we've made is in the past, these are the top 5. In the past, you'd have to start typing and figure out where all the tags are. So I'd have to start typing and see if I could remember the names of the tags. So we've moved that. You can still do that, but we've moved it out to view all the attributes. So you can now see all the attributes if you want by just clicking all attributes. So you get this little window that pops up, and you have the listing of all the attributes broken up into subjective, objective, and plan. And so I can select any of the attributes that have been stored within the system. So for example, if in the plan section, if I was using direct release, I can select that and it's going to populate it for you. So that's a big improvement that we've made in terms of the ability to select all the attributes, and then the comments are the same as before, and you can, just add the comments. It's also changed is that we can save and go to the next position. So similar, but it's not exactly the same though, the same wording. So we've updated the wording in the workflow with this as well. So I can save and go to the next position, and this tag has been saved, and I just move to the next position. And it functions, much in the same way that the other tags, the other tagger has functioned in the past. So this has had a big update, and then again I can move to that 3rd position, click that, and then save and close. Okay, so all my tags have been added. So again, it's changed. The draw has also had the drawing tool has also had an update. And not so much on the computer that I'm demoing. So we have some the tools are the same, but it's about clear in terms of the labeling and what they mean, how to use. You'll find that if you're using it on a mobile device now, it's much more responsive. So when you're drawing on it, it's going to be a much better experience than it was in the past. But in terms of there's the undo, the clear, and you can still select your colors or select your size as the tools that we had in the past. So in terms of that, we did update the tool itself, but the actual buttons are still the same buttons, are still the same functions that we had in the past, and they'll appear on the notes. So that's one big change. The other is the sections. These are only the sections that are on this note. So that was part of the complaint that we've had in the past, or the suggestions is I only want to see certain sections, and I don't want to have to keep turning on and off sections. So these are the sections that I explicitly turned on when I was creating that template. So that's also a big improvement. The other is that this is not an improvement, but this is just showing all access, and so I can update the access if I want to all practitioners or authors. So no update here, but again, it's just the positioning. The other thing that got a repositioning is the name of the client or the patient. So the clinical note. So we are on a clinical note, and that button has been moved up, and everything related to that patient or client has been all grouped together now. And the expand collapse is still the same as before, but you can still have that top level information about the patient or client. And so I can go back to the note at any time. And again, there I've updated that, and you can see that access was updated to all pracs. If I send a follow-up now, this has also been updated. In the past, the follow-up, so if I go to send a follow-up, has always been, it was always just send now for finalized notes. You now have the ability to send later from a finalized note, and so you can specify when you want to send that follow-up. So that has also had an update for the finalized note. I can send now, for example, and it will function, the same way. This is not a paid subscription, so I can't send it out. So, but it will function the same way. And once you do send it out, we're going to indicate when it's going to be sent out, or if it's already been sent. So you're going to have, again, a bit more visualization than you normally would have in the past. So that's, if we go back to the clinical notes themselves and the templates, I think that pretty well covers everything that we need to go over. Are there any questions on how this will function?
So I've been answering questions in the chat here, and I can just kind of like verbally say them so everybody kind of can hear them. The top one is, when is this becoming available and released? So it's scheduled for early next week, and we'll be announcing maintenance after this call, or after the meeting. So a few other questions. It's not, is it a paid add-on? No, it's not. It's all going to be part of the base clinic account. Can you create defaults based on the appointment or service type? No, but we can definitely submit that as a feature request. Can the soap notes be removed? Like Nick had showed, you can show and hide different sections of the note as you like. The ability to upload effectively custom images of all different kinds. That's on the roadmap. So don't have an ETA on it, but the ability to put your own images in there to tag is something that we will be adding. And let's see here. Oh, the ability to basically to multi-tag in a way that you tag many positions and then enter one description that submits that and places a whole bunch of tags at once. That's not possible in this, but that is something that we'll be adding.
Yeah, so the tagger itself, sorry, Ryan, if I can interrupt you. So the tagger we primarily just updated the functionality that was currently there and added some features. We also realized that there are a few things like bilateral tags from right to left. People want that as well, and so the ability to the update to the multi-tag feature is coming. So those have been on our roadmap for a while, but we didn't want to jam it all in because there's a lot to update here. So I mean, those have been on our roadmap. So we're going to slowly update the tagger as well.
Yeah. Another one is the ability to manage your own attributes. So adding your own attributes is something that is on the roadmap, and maybe even the ability to exclude existing attributes that aren't relevant to you. Yeah, both of those are definitely important and not part of this, but either on the roadmap or for consideration. Can I add my results, positive or negative, from ortho tests? Nick, I don't know if that, I'm not medical, so I don't know.
I'm not sure what they're getting at in terms of results for what type of. I don't know what
Patrick,
they're.
if you want to clarify, you can. But yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody has any other questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat. So yeah, there'll be video tutorials. So there'll be videos that are updated for all of this. They'll be published to our YouTube channel over the next few days.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you meant ortho results in terms of the standard, like just the standard testing. It's built into the product, so which I didn't really show completely. So if I edit this, I don't know if this is what he's getting at, but if I do go to the active range of motion, these results, these objective results, are already built into the product, and so I mean you can use the slider and change the degrees. Again, I'm not sure if this is what the question was referring to. So some of it is already built in. But you would have to you can build your own, you can build this yourself if you wanted to. So active range of motion, if you only did certain tests, so you could build this out, but you'd have to put your own results in versus using the widget that we already have built in with the product again. But I'm not sure if that's what the question is referring to.
Yeah, not sure, but another person asked if adding things like sensation testing. So outside of the assessment, but you could add your own custom questions pertaining to sensation testing in whichever way you want to ask that, using checkboxes, radio buttons, text boxes, ranges, sliders. So Nick gave example Nick gave regarding tests, it was just a compression. Can I include objective results? So I'm not sure if that provides.
Again, so these are objective results. So again, if that's I don't know if you want to unmute him because or he can stay on. I'm just not sure exactly what he's asking.
Right.
Are there any other questions?
Will patients be able to track their remaining appointments in a wellness package? So that's pertaining to packages and memberships on the portal. That is on the roadmap to add the ability both to see what you have left, but also the ability to purchase your own packages on the portal. Both of those are planned, but not part of this update. So you can't create your own diagrams yet, but uploading diagram images is something that once we get through this first initial phase, that's some of the follow-up updates that we have planned are that's included in it. The print, so the print has been updated as well, specifically to also try to make better use of paper, but it has been updated with these options as well. So yeah, you cannot upload an image into the clinical note. Like if you take a picture of the patient, you can't put that in the note yet. But you have the ability to upload images into the patient's profile, but not for a specific note. Although that is another consideration that we have, as well as the ability just to do that directly into a note and relate it to the note. Yeah. Seems like the questions are slowing down here. Does the copy note include all sections from the previous note? Yes. So if you have a note of a certain template and they filled in some spots and not others, and then you duplicate that clinical note for that patient, it will duplicate both the template, including the empty answers and the populated answers. So yeah. Yeah, like I mentioned, the notes don't support an upload, but that is something that we will be adding. For the questions about the ortho tests, I would recommend, just because they're all different for each body location, I would just recommend just looking through them all. If there's anything missing, just send us an email, support@notero.com, if you think that more should be added to the assessment section. It's not something that you can manage, but we can tweak that if we think there's missing parts. So you can send emails from the note, like a follow-up. It's done through the treatment follow-up email that's available up in the 3-dot menu. Either you can delay the send, as we said earlier, or you can send it immediately. But it sends through Notero servers. It's not like you can't put your own account in there. You can't connect it through Gmail or anything like that. So, for the assessments, I guess Nick, maybe that person is referring to checkboxes of positive states, negative states, or other states. So
you'd be able to create those if you want to. So you can create those, especially if they're just checkboxes.
Yeah, or radio buttons.
Or radio buttons. Yeah, if they're yes and no.
Other. So yeah. Will you be able to pre-populate text in templates? Yes. So you can put content in the template. So if you want to add a paragraph or something like that.
Here, I'll just grab it. I'll just show it. So I'll just grab this content here, and I'll just go back to the templates, because I do have a template just in case someone did ask a question about the builder itself. I didn't go in great detail about the builder itself, but for example, I can add a text area right here if I wanted to, and I'll just drop that text in that I grabbed. So this will then be on the form. If I preview it, here's the form right here. Here's the text.
Yeah. So will templates be able to be shared? I assume you mean within the clinic. So all practitioners have access to all templates. You can just set which one is your default. And then we'll also have a set of pre-made templates to pick from if you're, looking to create new ones. Okay. May I include a direct link to web scheduler when scheduling a follow-up email? Yes, you can put links in those follow-up emails. You just have to be on a paid subscription to do that. So yeah, so for clarification, the sharing of the templates, as of right now, no, you cannot share your notes, your templates outside of your clinic. However, like a global share type of community, it's like we've built this in a way that is possible to be extended on. We just didn't do that as part of the first release, depending on the feedback we get. And this applies both for forms and for clinical note templates. That there is the potential that we would allow sharing of that outside of your clinic if there's enough interest there to do that. Yeah. Any other questions about the clinical notes or the custom clinical notes specifically? Does note writing have a function that when I start writing, it suggests the finish? Yeah. So there's a concept called snippets. So the question is, does note writing have a function that when I start writing, it suggests or finishes sentences or words? So you do have the ability to do snippets, which is to predefine custom phrases or paragraphs or sentences, and then they're accessible in a shortcut. So Nick's showing here how to create basically the shortcut portion of that, and then the actual text to replace it with. And then when you use that snippet, if you were to go /back, it would inject that text.
Yeah, I'll just drop it in right now to this.
So yeah, first, do you have super users in specific cities to get help with Notero? You can always ask on Facebook on like massage groups or depending on your discipline. We don't have an official one, but you can always book time with us and we can do screen shares with you as well. So anything else related to notes? Okay, I think that's it in terms of the questions. I'll drop a few links in here for people requesting access to examples that we have better YouTube videos on the full topic, but for example, snippets, but does snippets only show up when I'm writing charts as a practitioner and not an admin? We've actually changed that. That's part of this, right, Nick, that we included the snippets for any user role, I believe.
No, I think so. So let me just double check that. Here, I'll just switch over to the admin and we will.
That's right. I believe, if memory serves me correctly, if it's not part of this, it's coming shortly after, which is snippets of the practitioner who the note is for are available on the note regardless of who's updating it. Some scenarios, an assistant might be, assembling part of the note, and and they want to make use of those snippets. So
yeah, it is right there. It is part of this.
Yeah, it did get included. So yeah, you don't have to be a practitioner to use snippets. Can you delete prior form templates? So you can delete templates that have never been used for a patient, but if they've been used, then you can disable them. So and it won't delete any of your charts. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah, you could put your own tests in, but not part of the assessment section. If you think there's assessment tests missing, just let us know. Otherwise, you can build tests into your actual form template itself when you're building it. So, okay, I think we're wrapping it up here. So, yeah, Nick, thanks for
No problem.
this. And what we'll do is we'll upload this to our YouTube channel so you can rewatch it. I know there's a lot to cover and we had to go pretty quick. Yeah, this is something that we're excited to launch and then expand upon. This is kind of just the first step in it, in basically a new architecture to the notes, and yeah, we're looking forward to it. So.
And there will be support videos as well on each of these. Like the tagger will have a new video. Obviously, the notes will have a new video, and the how to create templates. So there'll be new videos that will be replacing the existing videos on our YouTube channel, and they should be up sometime next week.
Yep, and this webinar will be up as well. Okay, all right. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and yeah, we look forward to releasing this for everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya.